This podcast is for educational purposes. Your doctor is your best source of information about any symptoms you might be experiencing. Please consult a medical care professional about any health questions and concerns. Now we hope you enjoy the podcast.
Hi, and welcome to On Rare, a rare disease podcast produced by BridgeBio, a biotech company that works on developing treatments for people living with rare diseases. I'm your host, Mandy Rohrig, and I'm joined by my longtime friend and colleague, David Rintell. Hi, David. Great to see you.
Mandy, it's great to see you in Chesterfield, England, where we're about to interview Elliott and his family. Elliott is living with molybdenum cofactor deficiency type A, which we call MOCD. I've known Elliott since he was quite small and had the pleasure of meeting them once before. I want to point out that we won't hear Elliott's voice because he doesn't have expressive language at this point, but does have good receptive language. And from what I've seen, is he looks like any child his age. So it's great to see him doing so well. Before we chat with the family, we have the opportunity to talk with the world expert on MOCD, and he discovered a treatment.
All right. We are delighted to have Dr. Günther Schwarz join us for the podcast.
Dr. Schwarz is a professor of biochemistry at the University of Cologne in Germany. We've had the opportunity and pleasure to meet before, and we're very grateful for you to join us today.
Thank you, David.
We're asking you to explain to us a condition called molybdenum cofactor deficiency. Now, I don't know anyone who knows what molybdenum is, perhaps except for you. So could you just explain what molybdenum is?
Yeah, not many people know. Molybdenum is a trace element needed for proper functioning of a handful of enzymes. Probably many people know that iron is needed in the blood to transport oxygen. And there are many, many proteins that require iron in metabolism. And there are other metals such as copper, zinc, manganese. They're called trace elements of nutritional importance. And molybdenum is at the very end of these very rare elements. But if we don't have them in proper function, then we feel this by not having proper functioning enzymes.
Thank you. So molybdenum is a trace element, just like iron and other metals, I guess. The body uses them to perform a variety of functions. I think we know that if you have not enough iron, you can have anemia. What happens if the molybdenum is not producing enzymes?
So we need enzymes to perform many different chemical reactions in the body that are associated with metabolism. And it's all about converting molecules from one into the other with the aim to produce energy. And if we are digesting food, we are producing hundreds of different molecules that we will take up into the cells and then we'll process them. And in order to do this processing, we need enzymes. And the molybdenum plays a role in processing particular amino acid, which we call cysteine. This molybdenum needs to be attached to a molecule. So it's a factor that the enzyme needs to be functional.
Günther, we take in molybdenum, there's processing, and that leads to the function of an amino acid that regulates the availability of cysteine. Do I have that right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So, and then if this is occurring, what are the results?
So in the body, we have many different amino acids, and some of them we can produce ourselves, others we really are dependent on the diet. And every time when we have enough of them, then we will break them down and we'll excrete them again via the urine, for example. At the end of the processing, there's a small molecule called sulfite. Probably many people know when they read the label of their wine bottle, which contains sulfite, then this is the molecule which also occurs in our body. And the enzyme which requires the molybdenum is converting that sulfite into sulfate. And if this reaction is not properly functioning, then the sulfite starts to accumulate. If you have too much of that sulfite, the cells don't like it and the cells will start to die.
And are there any particular cells that are affected?
Yes, those cells are primarily, we have in a limited number and we cannot regenerate them, which is the brain. So brain cells are particularly sensitive to sulfite. And therefore, these individuals that cannot process or not detoxify the sulfite develop a very severe form of this inborn error in metabolism, a disease which affects children right after birth, and they suffer very severe seizures, spasms, and brain cells will die.
Pulling it all together, the deficiency of this enzyme through a series of chemical reactions results in too much sulfite, particularly within the nervous system.
That's correct. Turn this around, if we don't have the molybdenum cofactor, we don't have the enzyme properly functioning, and therefore the very last step in the breakdown of the amino acid cysteine will not function properly, and this will then result in the accumulation in the human body. In particular, the human brain will suffer most of this sulfite intoxication, and the cells, and not only the cells, the whole brain will be damaged.
Thank you, Günther. You mentioned that due to molybdenum cofactor deficiency, children in early childhood develop neurological symptoms, including seizures and spasms. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what happens to those children?
Yeah, so the disease starts very early in life, as you mentioned. After birth, in some cases within hours, these patients develop these seizures that are kind of similar to very severe epileptic seizures. And therefore, there is a so-called overstimulation in the brain. So basically, all the neurons are firing at the same time in the human body as a continuous contraction of muscles, high-pitched cry of the child. And this is not good. You know that also people shouldn't have too many epileptic seizures because this is damaging the brain. And these cells will then start to die simply because they are overstimulated. This is also then the reason why many of these patients have a very short lifespan. They die very early in life.
There are a number of treatments for seizures. Do they work for the children who have seizures caused by molybdenum cofactor deficiency?
This is the standard of care, and for a few days these drugs help to control these seizures, but as the brain progresses in damage, that can't be controlled by these established drugs, and this makes this disease so severe.
So those treatments don't address the underlying cause of molybdenum cofactor deficiency, so even when the seizures are controlled at the outset, there is continuous damage to the brain and eventually the seizures return. Is that correct?
David, this is very well summarized. That's correct.
So, Günther, I'm curious, the children, when they are in utero, are they experiencing seizures?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it is still under investigation because today we know that some mothers report some certain kicks of the baby that might have been different. But in general, one can say that all these patients are born at term. And the reason for that is that the mother, she has a healthy metabolism and sulfites circulate between mom and the baby. It is kind of like having a dialysis when your kidneys are not properly functioning.
So, Günther, why do some children develop molybdenum cofactor deficiency and others don't? Is this a genetic condition and is it inherited, or is it what they call a de novo mutation or a spontaneous mutation that causes it?
The likelihood for a de novo mutation is always there. But the patients that we have seen over the past years, they all carried mutations that they inherited from their parents. So it's a genetic disorder which is inherited in a so-called recessive manner, which means mom and dad are carrier, one copy of the defective gene, absolutely fine. They don't develop any abnormalities. They are healthy individuals. There are also no signs that they could carry a defective gene. And only when the two genes come together in the patient, then the disease will manifest.
So, Günther, understanding that MOCD is inherited recessively, how common is this condition?
Luckily, this is very, very rare, and the incidence is ranging between 1 out of 100,000 births to 1 out of 1 million births. And it is very hard to diagnose because not many physicians are aware of this condition.
You're a very modest person. You are not only the person who studied molybdenum cofactor deficiency and observed the effect in children, but also you developed the first treatment for molybdenum cofactor deficiency. And we're in awe of you and we're grateful to the work that you've done. We hope to hear more from you on the On Rare podcast.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to chat with you.
Gunter, I wish you would have been my biochemistry teacher. I think I would have taken a greater interest to biochemistry. Yeah.
I'm sure I would have enjoyed it, Mandy.
Thank you, Lucy and Geoff, for having us in Chesterfield with you and your family. It's just such an incredible household filled with children and animals.
Thank you.
Dogs and one cat.
One cat, yeah.
Right. What is the cat's name? Hope. Very positive sounding name for a cat.
Not a positive cat, though.
But she's not a positive cat. So perhaps we could start at the very beginning, which is how the two of you met and when that was.
How the two of us met? Okay, yes.
I'll let you answer this.
We met shortly after I split up from my first wife through an internet dating site. I'd put the details in and I got a notification, a ping, and it just happened that Lucy had just fallen into that age bracket.
The day after my birthday.
And I messaged her.
I think it was my last day of the subscription.
And Geoff, you had just started doing internet dating, and
Yes.
Lucy was your last day.
It was last day of the free trial. I wasn't paying for it.
We chatted online for a while and then arranged to meet.
Mm-hmm. Did either of you have children?
Yes, I had Ethan,
You had Ethan.
who was 2.5 at the time.
Yes, and I had got the two older girls, Charlie and Georgia, are mine from a previous relationship. So Charlie was virtually the same age as Ethan, just over 2, and Georgia would have been 7.
And then it all moved fast. We met in the September and we moved in the December.
Wow. So it was kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then how long until Evan was born?
Evan was born on the 27th of October 2014 and he passed away from hypoplastic left heart syndrome on the 6th of February 2015.
You experienced a horrific loss.
It was a very difficult time.
I did struggle for a very long time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was protection, just sort of put it to one side.
Threw yourself into work.
Threw myself into work, although in here it hurt. Outside, I just literally carried on.
Whereas I was the opposite. It was the kids that kept me going.
It is heartbreaking.
It was a very hard time. That's why when we had Elliott, it was like deja vu. So it was just like, it was a completely different condition, but it was like, oh my God, are we going to do this again?
Just over a year after we lost Evan, Alice was born in June 2016. She was our little miracle, someone Lucy could concentrate her love on. Even at that point, I was still throwing myself into work. I was trying to build a business. I think Lucy would have liked another boy because we'd lost Evan, and we decided to try.
We didn't expect it to happen so soon, and there'd be a 14-month gap between them. So Elliott was born the 12th of September 2017. It was the most straightforward, easiest pregnancy out of all of them. We went to see the heart specialist because obviously we had lost Evan. Everything came back clear. The actual words we got were we were having a healthy pregnancy. It just shows how different things can be, how things can change all of a sudden.
So after Elliott was born, what was the first thing that kind of gave the idea that there was something different?
So labour was easy, no problem with that. No issues with him when he was born, other than the fact that he didn't want to feed and he was having heightened
Startle reflex.
So he would like leap out of his skin out of no apparent reason. And we were actually supposed to be being discharged to go home. And it was a doctor that was doing the discharge and said, I'd like to get that checked out. So sent him to neonatal and then the journey began. Blood tests, spinal taps, urine tests.
The blood tests were coming back inconclusive other than heightened stress levels, like adrenaline. So they knew there was something wrong but couldn't figure out exactly what it was. After the first couple of days, Sheffield Children's Hospital asked for a urine sample, which got sent off. They said to Lucy,
have a shower.
There's nothing going to be happening. So we got home and then Lucy's phone rang.
I just literally turned the shower on. Hadn't even got in there yet. You need to come back. The ambulance is going to be taking you to Sheffield.
Yeah, so they wanted Elliott over at Sheffield immediately. So did the tests. And the consultant at Sheffield told us what the condition was. Not to Google it, because it would be too upsetting. we would see about the CPMP in its early stages, and there was a medical trial, but the medical trial was shut, not to hold any hopes. The actual words were, he will not make school age.
And to enjoy him.
Yeah.
That's what stands by me, is they said, just go and enjoy him.
I said, can you be a little bit more clearer when you say won't make school age? And they said, well, the last child they'd seen had passed away at 18 weeks, which absolutely devastated me because of Evan had passed away at about the same age. I drove home holding back tears. I rung my mum, telling my mum about it. While I was on the phone to my mum, I was getting these missed calls from Lucy. And when Lucy rang, she went, we're on the trial. We're on the trial. We've been transported. We've got to go to Manchester.
I don't think I made much sense on the phone, did I?
Not a lot. Not a lot. It was an excitement. It was a relief to be offered the possibility of this medication still in its trial period, but deemed, as far as we could tell, quite successful.
There was no treatment. Sheffield had spoken to the specialist in Manchester. Manchester consultant had a contact with the people who made it in Germany.
Dr. Günther Schwartz developed this.
Yes.
And then we got it.
Directly from the University of Cologne. To be given the opportunity is what's kept him alive. Yeah.
I can't really describe how I was feeling at the time. All I can really remember is feeling sick in the car because the ambulance was going so fast. We didn't even have a car seat or anything for it because we weren't able to bring anything up for ourselves. Used one from the hospital, was like a transport one. We had nothing of our own stuff.
It all happened so quickly.
An unbelievably astute healthcare provider who took note of Elliott's startle reflex. Because had that not happened, this story would have been very different.
I think the diagnosis was several very fortunate circumstances, whereas the healthcare professional at Chesterfield noticed the heightened startle reflex and wanted that looking into. Then it was someone who had read a medical document regarding this condition in the laboratories at Sheffield, who then asked for a urine sample and checked for the sulfacysteine level in the urine, which is how the diagnosis was made so early.
It could have gone to a different lab technician and they wouldn't have got the same results.
Yes, and I think to this day many diagnoses is missed because of lack of awareness and knowledge.
I think this is the one thing that if we were to help campaign for anything, it's the diagnosis part of it. From what I've read, a lot of times the children will pass away from this condition and it is put down to sudden death because they don't know. And I think if more people were diagnosed, it could help a lot more families.
There was a brief period of time where you were once again in a situation facing the loss of a child.
Yeah, it was only 2 years before we'd buried Evan, and it was as if it was all going to be the same again.
Yeah.
It's undescribable. I can't even put into words now. It feels like a dream, like it was years and years and years ago, because it's just our normal now. You have to really think back, don't you, as to the emotions that went on then.
So after Elliott was born, me and Lucy were both tested, and although we carry a different version of the genetic disorder, we do both carry it, which is the reason why Elliott has the condition, unfortunately, is because we're both carriers. As strange as it may sound, when the diagnosis was given, one of the first questions we were asked were, are we related?
We looked at each other like...
Yeah, so our families had never really been in contact with each other, but we'd both got a different variation of the genetic disorder.
The gene in which Geoff carries has never been seen before.
Really?
So it's classed as a novel gene.
A novel gene, yeah.
And it's not been seen again since.
It's funny, when you talked about online dating, it was like it was meant to be, what are the chances of two carriers?
Yeah, it's millions to one.
Elliott is 1 in a million.
Yes. So you started to get the medicine.
They flew the medication over personally. I'll never forget them giving him his first dose. You've watched him like, is anything happening? Is anything happening? You know, like sitting there. They had to do it in half doses to begin with. And it was on a pump, wasn't it?
Yeah, the syringe pump.
Yes, a syringe driver. But you know, within that first dose, the screaming stopped. They were saying he was having sulphur headaches. and he was quiet. He was settled.
So he had been screaming
Non-stop, yeah.
nonstop from the beginning, or from...
Probably about a day old, wasn't he?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were told that was the sulfur build-up because it wasn't processing it, and that was what was attacking his brain, his joints. It was obviously in pain.
And then you saw something different.
The same night he had the dose, it was like a completely different child because he was unconsolable. He was just screaming and screaming, and it was just like a different child. Till he had his central line placed. Central line runs to the artery in the heart, and it administers the medication straight into the bloodstream. Obviously, it comes with a lot of risks. Never had an infection or anything like that. When they grow, they need a replacement. It needs tending to in the terms of dressings and cleaning it and general maintenance. And then you can get blockages, but it just becomes part and parcel of daily care. You just check it every single morning.
And then you moved the IV administration home?
We weren't allowed to have it home until we'd got things in place to be able to store it. Because the medication is stored at minus 20 degrees, we've had to have a laboratory freezer in the kitchen.
But we couldn't get funding from the hospital or the NHS, so we had to buy the freezer and everything ourselves. So getting everything sorted took time.
Yeah, we got the freezer. We had that delivered from a specialist medical company.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
And also purchased a backup generator in case there was a power cut. I think we've only had to ever use it once, and that was all put in place before we were allowed to have the medication stored at home, which saved us a lot of time. Travelling to the Sheffield Children's Hospital is 45 minutes in each direction.
But whilst he was in hospital, I was doing all his medication. It wasn't the hospital that were doing it. I was trained up at Manchester. So everything was done by me and has been done since he was 7 to 10 days old. Has been done by me.
Oh my goodness.
And I do everything from blood draws, his medication every single day. Geoff doesn't even touch his line.
No, I stay clear of that. I'm very wary of touching it, and the last thing I would want is to cause some infection. I help out with everything else. The medication I leave to Lucy.
So what does a typical day look like with Elliott?
So he wakes up about 5:30 to 6 o'clock. Then we come downstairs to have breakfast and do medication. Then we go off to school, don't we? And you're at school for 8:45. He's in general mainstream school and he goes until 3:15 every single day. And then we play in the garden, don't we? Have dinner. And then he goes off to bed. It's supposed to be about 7:30, but he pushes his luck.
As all kids do.
Yes.
That's it. It is just the one medication for the molybdenum cofactor deficiency just in the morning. It's not multiple times a day, which makes life a hell of a lot easier. He was on iron due to the blood withdrawals out of his line every single day because he became anemic. We're finally at a normal level. So for the first time in 7 and a bit years, we're on no iron supplementation.
So you have the daily medication administration. Are there any other care or therapy or?
So he has speech and language, which is everyday goals that are set. He no longer has any physical therapy. Occupational therapy we don't see. And we just have on hand community nurses for if we do need any care out of hours. Obviously, we do still have a lot of appointments. We were there every day at Sheffield to begin with. So to go 6 monthly now, it's easy now.
What other support do you have?
So I set up a Facebook group for families of children with MOCD. So families get told about the group by people that get diagnosed, you know, like the consultants know about it. At Manchester, if there's a newly diagnosed family, then our consultant does contact us and say, would you mind us putting your details over for you to contact with them? The same as when Elliott was first diagnosed, a family that had been diagnosed previous to Elliott gave us all the help and support and the advice that we needed. Obviously, I've got my family, but mainly we just do it all on our own. He's never had a sleepover. He's never gone on a play date or anything like that. People see the condition and get scared.
Really?
I'm lucky in the sense of I own my own business. I can take time off when I need to. So for appointments and anything like that, or if Lucy calls me like in the middle of the day, I can literally just say, I've got to go.
I actually had to give up work due to Elliott because I couldn't manage the needs of that plus the demands of a full-time job. So it is just primarily me at home in the day. you do your shift in the evening with him.
I'm very interested in the Facebook group, and wonderful that you started. How many families are connected?
We're at 60-something members, so I believe that we've probably got about 30 families worldwide.
Do you know any other families living with MOCD?
We know of another family in the UK. They are in Glasgow. Obviously, we know the ones in America. We are a very close-knit community. You become like family. So if there's any concerns about Elliott's lines looking like this, or you can discuss with each other, because it can take time to speak to a consultant. So it's nice to have that little bit of extra support. I mean, they may not know all the answers, but it's nice to have somebody that may have been in the same situation.
They have the most experience.
Exactly, yeah. And first-hand experience is the experience that you want from people. Reading from a textbook or, studying something isn't the same as living the life of it.
Mm-hmm. There's such a short list of people that we trust as parents to take care of our children, but I suspect it has to be even shorter when you have a child that has complex medical needs. Just curious, do the two of you ever get a chance to step away?
The last time that we went out was when I was pregnant with Elliott.
It is difficult getting people, even people who are professional. We've had doctors who wouldn't see him on their own. They wanted two medical professionals in the room. They see the condition and don't know anything about it.
We've had doctors that refuse to see us point blank and send us to Sheffield Children's Hospital, even down to the simple things of vaccinations were done at the hospital because the GPs refused to do it.
Yeah, they think that maybe just giving basic medication may affect the medication he's on because they don't know it, and they're scared that if something goes wrong, it's going to come back on them.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about Elliott. What does he like to do?
So Elliott is our little miracle. He's an absolute superstar.
He likes to shadow me. If I'm in the house and I'm doing something, because I do a lot of DIY around the house, he wants to be there. Whether it's fitting a door, repairing a cupboard, fitting a shelf, I can turn around and the tape measure disappeared and he's off somewhere measuring something, or, if I can't reach something, I can shout Elliott, Elliott, can you pass me that screwdriver? So if I'm in the house and I'm doing something, he's got to be there. He'll not want to go to bed until I've finished doing what I'm doing.
Kids like little play sets and things like that. He doesn't, unless it involves stacking, knocking things over, physically doing some. He loves like mechanical sets, if you can buy like cars you make, playing in the dirt outside.
He loves Play-Doh. Not that he makes anything particular with it. Get a ball of Play-Doh and he'll just literally be squeezing it and pulling it and rolling it and squashing it. When he'd finished with it, he'd just put it down and it'll just dry out. So we'll be buying more and more.
He hasn't quite learned. Put it back in the pot and put the lid on it.
And we heard that he enjoys playing with Alice quite a bit.
Yeah, you do, don't you? A lot comes down to him not being able to communicate fully with her. If she does something and he can't quite explain that he doesn't like that, or he wants to do something different, where he'll start crying.
She does sometimes use it to her advantage as well, though.
Yes.
Whereas if she wants something, she'll come and say, Elliott wants this.
We'll go shopping, it'll be like, Elliott wants this new toy.
Where I live, they would say that's being wicked smart.
I just love it how it's just become normal life. There's no sibling rivalry or anything, is there? They just all get on with it. They knew when Elliott was little and I'd be taking him to school that it may not be me picking him up if I was at a hospital appointment, and they've all just been very, very accepting of it all.
They understand.
And they will tell everybody what he's got. They know more than the average person. I mean, Alice will sit and do a talk with her class about the condition that he's got. So we're just incredibly proud of all of them.
And Georgia loves him to bits. Georgia, the oldest, she's gone into childcare anyway. And Elliott will go into her room, lay on a bed with her. They'll watch the iPad together. Yeah, she loves him to bits.
At least one thing that we've seen, families and children who have learned to live well with challenges do very well. They know that families working together can overcome the challenges. There's a lot of advantage to learning that you can overcome adversity.
We always talk on the perspective of the parents, but, it does affect the siblings as well.
Oh,
so
yes.
the conversations we had to sit down and have with them at the beginning were horrible. But it doesn't even seem real now. I think the main thing that we've learned is to not stop him from doing anything. If he wants to do something, regardless of differences, he gives everything a go. Any club that he wants to go to, swimming, anything, we've allowed him to do that. We don't say, oh, no, you can't do that. We just let him be a normal child. Obviously, you take the safety precautions with his line. He joins in with PE at school and he plays in the playground, all things that we'd never thought was going to get to that point.
Without the medication, the lifespan would have been severely reduced. The medication itself has given us hope that should be able to lead a normal life and have a normal lifespan.
So without medication, Elliott wouldn't be here. Scary to say it out loud, but it's completely true.
Yeah, simple as that.
Yes, that really is scary, but true. What an amazing family Lucy and Geoff are raising, and how wonderful to have spent time with them in their home. My main takeaway is that they're living their lives. Despite Elliott's illness, they've adapted to his care, and if you came upon them in a park or any other place or came to their house, you would find them to be just like most other families are with kids that age.
They are a fun, joyful family. I think the energy of this family matches that of all of their animals that they have, David.
Yes.
But it's been a real pleasure to get to know them and to get a front row seat to not only the challenges that Lucy and Geoff have, but how this entire family has come together.
Yeah. Elliott's siblings really love him and support him and help him to communicate. Such a loving family. It's wonderful to see.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Geoff, Lucy, Elliott, and the entire family for opening your home to us today. Thank you to Gunter for helping us better understand what MOCD is. Thank you to our producer, Amy Brooks, for all of her support. And if you have any additional questions, write us at onrare@bridgebio.com. Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll join us for our next conversation on Rare.